I heard the bells on Christmas Day, their old familiar carols play, and wild and sweet the words repeat of peace on earth, goodwill to men. And thought how, as the day had come, the belfries of all Christendom had rolled along the unbroken song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Till ringing, singing on its way, the world revolved from night to day. A voice, a chime, a chant sublime of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Then from each black accursed mouth the cannon thundered in the south, and with the sound the carol drowned of peace on earth, goodwill to men. It was as if an earthquake rent the hearthstones of a continent and made forlorn the households born of peace on earth, goodwill to men. And in despair I bowed my head. There is no peace on earth, I said, for hate is strong and mocks the song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Then peal the bells more loud and deep. God is not dead, nor does he sleep. The wrong shall fail, the right prevail. With peace on earth, goodwill to men.
We all know of the 3 wise men who crossed the desert in order to worship and honor baby Jesus. But do you know there was a 4th wise man who couldn't make it on time and missed the caravan? Well, this is his story.
In the days when Augustus Caesar was master of many kings and Herod reigned in Jerusalem, high on a hill overlooking the region of Persia, sprawled the vast estate of Artaban, a priest of the Magi, a king in his own right. On this particular night, as he stood out on his terrace, dawn was threatening to arrive. Artaban had sold all his possessions to prepare for a journey that he would make across the desert with 3 other magi to find and worship the one born to be king. He reached into the pocket of his robe and drew out 3 gems, one a sapphire as blue as a fragment of the night sky, the other a ruby redder than the rays of a new dawn, and the third a pearl as pure as the peak of a snowy mountain at sunrise. His gifts for the king, his tribute to honor him. As he looked out at the sky, his eyes were drawn westward. Out of the darkness appeared a soft streak of light. It was as if the colors of the jewels in his hand had mingled together and exploded into a point of white radiance. A star shone in the sky. The sign. Before the sun began its journey across the sky, the fourth wise man was in the saddle of his swiftest, most trusted horse, riding to meet his friends. He must ride wisely and well if he was to arrive at the appointed place to meet the other three magi and start on their journey westward.
His prize horse was almost spent as he arrived at nightfall of the 10th day beneath the shattered walls of Babylon. He did not stop for rest, but continued on. A grove of date palms made an island of gloom up ahead. As the horse passed into its shadow, it slowed its pace and began to pick its way more carefully, sensing danger. The dim starlight revealed the form of a man lying across the road. A faint sigh came from the fallen man's lips, and his bony fingers closed on the hem of the priestly Magus's robe as the horse stopped close. If they went on now, the man would surely die. The Magi were healers, and Artaban knew what had to be done to save him. He would turn aside, if only for a moment, from following the star to give a cup of cold water and tend to the perishing Hebrew. He dismounted and labored as only a skillful healer could, till at last the man's strength returned.
It was already long past midnight, the appointed hour to meet the other Magi. Artaban rode as quickly as possible. The great horse, restored by the brief rest, dipped into the last of her remaining strength and fled over the ground like a gazelle. The first beam of the sun sent a shadow before the horse as she entered the final lap of the journey. His eyes anxiously scanned the destination, but Artaban could detect no traces of his friends. He dismounted and climbed to the highest terrace, looking out towards the west. There was no sign of the caravan, far or near. Artaban sat down upon the ground and covered his head in despair. How can I cross the desert alone with no food and with a spent horse? I will have to return to Babylon, sell one of my jewels, and buy a train of camels and provisions for the journey. I may never reach the three Magi. He returned to Babylon, and with his sapphire he purchased what he needed for the journey.
Through heat and cold, the priest of the Magi, the fourth wise man, moved steadily onward, crossing the desert. He arrived weary, but full of hope in Bethlehem, bearing his ruby and pearl to offer to the newborn king. From the open door of a low stone cottage, he heard a lullaby. He entered and found a young mother hushing her baby to rest. She told him that 3 kings like him had appeared in the village 3 days ago, and said that a star had guided them to the place where Joseph of Nazareth was lodging with his wife Mary and her newborn child. But the travelers disappeared again, as suddenly as they had come. And the man of Nazareth took the babe and his wife and fled away that same night, secretly. It was whispered, she said, that they were going far away to Egypt. The young mother laid the baby in its cradle and rose to care for the strange guest. She set food out for him, what little food she had, graciously offered and gratefully received. Suddenly, there came the noise of wild confusion and uproar in the streets of the village. Cries were heard, the soldiers of Herod, they are killing our children!" The young mother's face grew white with terror. Artaban rose quickly and stood in the doorway of the house. His royal bearing filled the opening. The soldiers came hurrying down the street with bloody hands and dripping swords. At the sight of the stranger in his imposing robes, they hesitated with surprise. Artaban said in a low voice, "I am all alone in this place, waiting to give this jewel to the prudent captain, who will leave me in peace." He showed them the ruby, glistening in the hollow of his hand like a great drop of blood. The captain barely hesitated, stretched out his hand and took the ruby greedily. "March on," he cried to his men. "There is no child here." The clamour and the clang of arms moved down the street.
The fourth wise man then travelled from place to place on his quest. Beginning in Egypt, he searched among the people of the dispersion. He saw hunger and famine, plague-stricken cities, people imprisoned and enslaved. In all the morass of humanity, he found none to worship, but many to help. He fed the hungry and clothed the naked, healed the sick and comforted the captive. And his years went by swiftly, leaving behind a pattern of love and compassion. It seemed almost as if he had forgotten his quest. "33 years of the life of Artaban passed by, and he was still a pilgrim, a seeker after light. His hair was now white as the wintry snow. Worn and weary and ready to die, but still looking for the king. He had come for the last time to Jerusalem. It was the season of the Passover. The city was teeming with strangers and many languages, and there was an agitation among the crowds.
Artaban joined a group of people from his own country, Parthian Jews who had come to keep the Passover, and inquired of them the cause of the agitation and where they were going. "We are going," they answered, "to a place called Golgotha, outside the city walls, where there is to be an execution. A man called Jesus of Nazareth, a man who has done many wonderful works among the people, is to be crucified. The priests and the elders have said that he must die because he named himself the Son of God and the King of the Jews." The old Magus's heart beat quickly. Could it be the same one who had been born in Bethlehem 33 years ago, at whose birth the star had appeared in heaven? Could it be that he was just in time to offer his last jewel, the pearl, to save his life?
Just then, some Macedonian soldiers came down the street, dragging a young girl with a torn dress and matted hair. As they passed, the once noble and stately Magus, still priestly in his bearing, the girl suddenly broke from the hands of her tormentors and threw herself at his feet. "Have pity on me," she cried, "and save me. I am also the daughter of a true religion, which is taught by the Magi. My father was a merchant of Parthis, but he is dead, and I am seized for debts to be sold as a slave. Save me from this fate worse than death." Artaban hesitated, but was moved by compassion. He took the pearl from his bosom. "This is your ransom, daughter. It is the last of my treasures which I kept for the king."
While he spoke, the darkness of the sky thickened, and tremors ran through the earth. Stones were loosened and crashed into the street. Dust clouds filled the air. The soldiers fled in terror. Artaban and the girl whom he had ransomed crouched against a wall, helpless. What did he have to fear? What did he have to live for? He had given away the last gift that he had kept for the king. The quest was over, and he had failed. One more lingering tremor of the earthquake quivered through the ground. A heavy tile shaken from the roof fell and struck the old man on his temple. He lay breathless and pale, blood trickling from the wound. As the girl bent over him, afraid he was dead, a beautiful sound came through the twilight, like music from a distance, in which the notes are clear, but the words lost. The old man's lips began to move, as if in answer. Clearly he had heard the words, and she heard him say in the Parthian tongue, "Not so, my lord, for when did I see you?" He stopped talking, and the sweet sound came again. And again the girl heard it, and it seemed that she could understand the words. "Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as you have done to the least of these, that you have done unto me." A calm radiance of wonder and joy lit the pale face of the old magus, a glimmer like the first ray of dawn on a snowy mountain peak. One long, last breath of relief was let out gently from his lips. His journey was over. His treasures were accepted. The fourth wise man had found and honored the king.
that your baby boy will one day walk on water. Mary, did you know that your baby boy will save our sons and daughters? Did you know that your baby boy has come to make you new? This child that you deliver will soon deliver you. Mary, did you know that your baby boy will give sight to a blind man? Mary, did you know that your baby boy will calm a storm with his hand? Did you know that your baby boy has walked where angels trod? When you kissed your little baby, you kissed the face of God. Oh, Mary, did you know? Oh, did you know? The blind will see, the deaf will hear, and the dead will live again. The lame will eat, the dumb will speak, the praises of the Lamb. Mary, did you know that your baby boy, he's the God of all creation? Oh, Mary, did you know that your baby boy will one day rule the nations? Did you know that your baby boy is heaven's perfect lamb? This sleeping child you're holding, he's the great I am. Oh, Mary, did you know? Mary, did you know that your baby boy, Mary, did you know, is the great I am? Oh, Mary, did you know? Did you know? Oh, what a day, for all mankind. Jesus born today. In the world you find a rock of refuge for the weary mind, and a whole lot of mercy and love of the saving kind. Now the Father, He saw the man He made was being deceived down a crooked way. So He sent His Son, that holy Lamb, that God may walk upon this earth as a man, and the heavens gates, they're open wide for the Savior He gave, for you and me tonight. So clap your hands and stamp your feet. Say to that devil now, oh, hey, you lost your seat, for the King is come to set me free and take back all that the devil stole from me. Oh, let's celebrate now, oh, this Christmas day, for the Lord is with us, and He's here to stay, washing us clean with His blood each day. The price that I couldn't pay, oh, my Jesus paid. Christmas Day, for the Lord is with us, and He's here to stay, washing us clean with His blood each day. The price that I couldn't pay, oh, my Jesus paid. That I couldn't pay, oh, my Jesus paid. I said the price that I couldn't pay, I said my Jesus paid.